Let me know when it says we're live streaming and we'll just get everybody going.
We got it. Just
Perfect. All right. Well, welcome everybody. It's Monday and this is Creator Based Weekly. And we are glad that you're here and we get to talk about all things creator based. Welcome to the Creator Based Life. I'm here with Jennifer DeRoos, a
hello.
coach, a can grow anything gardener, and an avid runner.
No, I'm
Wait,
not the
wrong.
avid
This
runner. No,
is just not my day for
I
words.
am
Okay,
the
let's do this
avid
again.
sitter. I am not the
You
avid.
are the can grow anything gardener and the hypnotherapist.
There we go.
There we go. Jacine is the avid runner, but Jacine's not here because that girl went for a week in the mountains for horse camping.
That's
Very,
awesome.
very cool. Yeah. So she's out there with her husband and her family for this week. And I'm Beth, a master life coach and author, the creator of the Creator Based Way. Create your one awesome, amazing, perfect life, which you can because you are the creator of your life experience. Speaking of which, last week when we came in to do the podcast, I came in grumpy. I don't know that anybody could tell but Jen knew because for the first 15 minutes or so before we got started, I had just walked in. It had just been a bad Monday. You know how sometimes you get those bad Mondays and it just rolled and built on each other. And enough things went wrong that I just wanted to be mad.
I love that.
So
I love it when
yeah,
you're in that mood. I love it.
sometimes you do. Sometimes you just want to feel justified and mad, you know?
You have the grouchies,
Yeah,
but
I had the grouchies
I love
bad.
I love seeing you in the grouchies because you're always so happy and upbeat. And I'm all like, she's so human. Yay. She's in the
Yeah, I
grouchies.
was so grouchy. And you guys remember last week our podcast was our top 10 things to create a beautiful life, which meant I couldn't come do that podcast in the mood that I was in. It was bad. And then when Jen joined me, I can't say that Jen was in much of a better state.
Nope.
I don't remember what you were grumpy about, but
I don't remember either. I think I was just tired.
yeah,
Who
we
knows?
just didn't want to. We just didn't want to.
Had the
And
dinner.
so
Yeah.
we prayed and we asked for some help and we got started, but really I was just shaking my head and laughing. And I decided to grow by looking.
Mhm.
And this grow by looking really reminds me of Jen's Let's Get Curious. So we got curious, but I wanted to share with you this principle of grow by looking. Jen, you have done this. You never really called it grow by looking, but
What's always helped me when I don't find myself in the best, like, because you have your ups and downs in life, right?
yeah,
Or you're just like, why am I like feeling this way? I I find that if I look and try and get curious about the why or see purpose in what's going on, I can better go through it. Or I can better
yeah,
like, okay, this is a rotten day. Is it just because it's a rotten day, or do I need to look for some happiness, or what is it, Or like there might be a period that, yes, there are some heavy things that are on top of you, but if you can find the lesson in what's going on, whether it's I'm learning to be stronger, or I'm learning something about myself or about others, or how to show up better in my life or better in the world, if I find a purpose in what I'm going through, it's just easier for me to like get to the end of it.
yeah.
Because if I feel like it's just happening to me, then I feel like a victim. So,
It is not fun. Well, and like Viktor Frankl said, suffering ceases to be suffering when we understand the meaning behind it. Yeah, when you got your learning and your why, what's the learning? That just makes such a difference.
and sometimes the learning, like, you're learning something, you get little like clues and glimpses, but sometimes you don't completely understand the teaching until after the fact and you're looking back.
Yeah.
And then you say, oh, so that was what was supposed to be
So
happening.
that was what was going on.
And then you see the growth, or you see the opportunity to be different the next time that situation comes around. So,
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, in the blog this morning, we were talking about the different things that were going through our head. I know for me, last week, it was, I deserve better than this. I deserve better than this. And he did me wrong. That was just wrong. And he was so wrong. And this isn't supposed to be happening. This is not the way I had it planned,
Mhm.
And so going in there and looking at it and being curious, kind of like you said, and finding that lesson. I really didn't find the lesson at that point in time, but I was willing to look. And so I love the blog. I'm scrolling through it right now. Talk to you about it. I love the pictures, the top of the page with the green and the frowny face. That is exactly what I felt like last week. Yeah, just so grumpy. But let's go through these letters for look. And if you can just remember LOOK, you can dig yourself out when you get in the grumpies. It really makes a difference. And this is Jacine's favorite. I wish she were here to share you, but L is lean in
She's really
and
good.
listen. Yeah. What's going on inside? And I know for me last week, what was going on inside is I just wanted to be grumpy. I was unhappy because things weren't going my way. And I was kind of like a petulant 6-year-old. When I looked inside there, when I leaned in, I was mad. In fact, I told my contractor when he came in, you made my podcast today, because I was so grumpy about it taking so much longer than I think it should take, and about the things that just kept going awry but leaning in to listen, I could see my impatience.
Yeah. I think leaning in is such a skill to learn. I learned the concept in a self-compassion course I took through Germer and
Neff.
Christian
Yeah,
Neff.
Kristen
Yeah,
Neff. Mhm.
yeah, and it was just like, oh my gosh, learning how to this whole greater understanding about compassion for self. But the first part was learning to lean into discomfort.
Yeah.
And the first thing that I realized about when you lean in is as soon as you accept it and lean into it, it loses a lot of its intensity.
Yeah.
And
It
you're like,
loses
oh,
the edge.
it's not that big. I mean, it's still kind of big, but it's not that big. And so you almost
Yeah.
feel a little bit more empowered to
Well, and
explore.
I go back and forth. I'm like, well, it's really not that big, but I want it to be that
To be
big.
big. Exactly.
But but it's
But
really when you
still
look
so
at it,
big.
yeah, and I'll just back and forth and back and forth.
It feels so big. Yeah.
Yeah, feels so big.
Yeah. But it's really not that big.
Yes.
It feels so big. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, my babies, you guys, I've had 10 babies, and my babies were all born at home except for the first. And the first one, I was sure I was just going to die because I didn't know anything to do with what it felt like to have a human being coming out of your body.
Okay.
It just felt like I was going to split wide open and I was just going to die. So I didn't do it so well. With the second one, we went to this childbirth class. It was the Bradley method, and it was about relaxing. Everything was about relaxing. And they actually had, it's a wonder my husband lived through this. They actually had in the childbirth class where your husband was supposed to pinch you, and he would increasingly increase the intensity in the pinching, and you would practice relaxing through the discomfort, which in principle is great. He did live.
Yeah, he was pretty open to that. That could
Right. But I mean, when suffering ceases to be suffering, right? When you understand the purpose behind it, even the purpose of practicing for childbirth was not enough for me to allow him to just keep pinching me, because it felt like for no reason at all. But it illustrated the point of leaning in, choosing to let go and really to just listen to the rest of your body while you're in this discomfort. And having learned that with my second, by the time I was going through the other babies, I had learned to lean into a contraction and to just let my body do the job, let it do its work by leaning in and just letting and helping it, not pushing, but just helping by relaxing. And it made all the difference. Anytime I started to fight, it hurt like heck. I just can't even. But when I was willing to just let my body, kind of like when we're willing to just let our life do what our life needs to do, it was intense and it was big, but it was doable.
Yeah.
And it just seems like the resistance makes all the difference, the expectation, if you will. Yeah. So
'Cause sometimes with that is I'm creating a bigger story in my head about what this means to me, this discomfort and everything. And so of course my body is going to say, okay, you need to panic, you need to feel overwhelmed, you need to, and so
right.
it
Marshal all the
happens up.
forces. She's
Yeah,
got
yeah,
something scary
yes.
happening. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah. That
question
makes a
those
big
stories.
difference. So the L, lean in and listen and just be curious what's going on inside of you. If you're brave enough to look. If you're
Sometimes,
not brave enough to look, that's okay. Go buy yourself an ice cream.
yeah, and
Whatever.
sometimes I have to say, yeah, I'm just gonna have to be miserable because I just don't have the brain width or power
The
to go
bandwidth, right?
until I can get into that space. I'm just gonna be mad, or I'm just going to be having that hard time. Yeah.
Well, and you might even need something like I did some Tai Chi, a little bit of Tai Chi at lunchtime. And I did a little bit of yoga with the standing forward bend, and letting my head drain because it had been such an intense morning. And so you might even need to do something physical before you're ready to lean in and
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, to understand what's going on inside. And then you took the O right out of the next step, the outstretch your hand of compassion.
Yeah.
So you want to speak to us a little bit about self-compassion and what it is and maybe what it looks like?
Well, what it looks like for me. So you fill in whatever gaps or
Yeah,
holes you need.
absolutely.
But self-compassion, because gosh, I had such bad self-worth, and it was actually kind of taught to me to not like myself.
Mhm.
And so I couldn't even look myself in the mirror. And so my self-compassion started a long time ago, but with that class I took, it just seemed to kind of like click of like, why wouldn't you be your best friend? There's nobody else that's going to
Nobody
be
that
able,
lives in you but you.
yeah, why would you not? I mean,
So
and
love you. You take care of
yeah,
yourself.
and I didn't understand how the things that I thought about myself, just how like damaging they were, and that I could actually, say different things to myself. And so I like had to change a lot of inner dialogue and beliefs and things like that. But it was very, how do I even put this in words? When I started to do it, it was very uncomfortable because it going against what I'd been doing
Well,
for a long
because
time.
there was probably a part of you that believed that the only way to make you behave, the
Was
only way to
that,
succeed was to beat you with the stick until you were
like,
willing, until you
yeah.
did it? Yeah.
But I had to like almost like reparent myself or relove myself and just let myself know, it's okay that you feel this way. That
Yeah.
really sucks and everything like that. But you know what? You're better than that, or and it really I had to really rely on a lot of my like spiritual beliefs to help build
Yeah.
that back up of
Yeah.
like, you're really not dirt, and you're really not, that type of thing. Like you do have value,
Yeah.
and because of the things that I was feeling from my higher power, from my creator. And so things
Well,
like I
yeah.
had.
And if you are a daughter of God,
Mhm,
I mean, my mom used to always say, God doesn't make junk.
exactly.
And so
But
you
why do
can
I
lean
feel
on
like
that.
junk, things like
You
that. And so,
might feel like junk. You might have a bad day. You might really screw up whatever you're working on,
yeah.
but you're not junk. It was just something junky that you did.
Yeah. And so when I was able to distinguish between the like that whole like that shame guilt cycle, you did something bad, you're not bad. And I was able to break
Yes.
out of that and see the difference. It was almost like I had to reclaim those little Jennifers in my life that had
Uh-huh.
those experiences and let them know that it's okay, and to love on them. And it was just so, I guess the word melting. It was just so relieving and
It it
so,
is. It is. And it's almost like melting. It's just I remember listening to Kristen Neff when we did that training
mhm,
talk about when she was in the airplane with her son who is autistic and how he had had a meltdown in the bathroom
mhm,
and she couldn't go into the bathroom because he'd locked the door and he was really noisy and everybody in the plane was having such a hard time and she took care of herself and she said I remember just holding and hugging myself on that airplane and giving myself the support that I needed so I could support my son. which I thought was so neat. And I love when she does this. I just love this feeling of just being able to rub one arm and love myself physically that way.
Yeah. And I do then like I've really been like wanting to understand self-compassion a lot and everything.
Yeah.
And I read another, I want to say it's Dr. Shapiro, but I'm not sure. She did a TED talk and it was amazing. And it was what she, to help change, because it's also your neural pathways. It's also your brain is so used to thinking a certain way. And so then it creates your feelings that way. So if you can like turn off that thought of self, like self-doubt or like unworthiness. She does it the first thing in the morning, and this really transformed my life. And it's as soon as she starts to feel awareness as she's coming out of sleep. Well, your brain's in theta, so this is a really good thing for your brain. But as you're coming out of sleep, she will say this to herself, and I actually say it over and over to myself. She'll say, "Good morning. I love you, Jennifer," like your name.
Nice.
Because
Yeah.
you're stating to yourself, I love you, and you're labeling yourself. So it's like, good morning, I love you, Jennifer. And you
And
can
so
just,
you wake into love.
yes. And so my default of waking up to feeling doom and gloom or despair or whatever is now
Yeah.
override. It's overridden.
Yeah.
And so it's like I noticed how my mornings had changed. And so I wasn't waking up that way, waking up in like that fear of what the day was going to be or the doom or the unworthiness. And it was like I was waking up with like, oh, what is this day going to bring? And so I mean that was just a quick little thing to help change your brain pattern, change that morning.
Yeah.
So I really liked her.
I love that. Good
Yeah.
morning. And it's good morning, I love you, and then your name.
Then your
right?
name. Yeah.
Because it's your name that cements it to you. So
Yeah.
you want to have all of the important words
Yourself.
and then connect it with your name.
Connect it to yourself. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wonder how that will work with this look, lean in and listen, and then outstretch a hand of compassion. I wonder if you could say, I love you, Beth. I'm here for you,
Yeah,
and
like,
could give yourself that.
good afternoon, or like good moment, or like good afternoon or good evening. I love you.
We're here.
Yeah.
One of my favorites is and I'll have to go look it up, but I think it's Rumi. Where am I? That's he'll say, ask yourself, where am I? Here.
Here.
And as every time I say that to myself, where it seems so fundamental, where am I? Here. It brings me right here in my present state, my present circumstance. And then he says, oh, where am I? What time is it?
What time is it?
Now, what time is it is something that just runs me ragged all day long. Keeping up with a client, making sure I'm there for the next meeting. Is it time for dinner? I don't want to throw off my afternoon. What time is it? And so it's where am I? Here. I'll take a breath. I'll be here. And then the next, what time is it? Now.
Now.
And that brings me right here, right now. And that really helps me to feel more compassionate to myself too. Just a breath.
Yeah.
Where am I here? What time is it? Because I can't say what time is it without
find
panic.
that my thoughts will either be in the future, which will cause me some anxiety because it's like I got to do this, got to do it in the future, or they will be in the past, ruminating over.
Yeah, ruminating or with some kind of regret.
And then that just makes me sad and depressed. And so it's like I love this. Like, where are you? I'm here.
Where am I? Here.
Now. It's not the future.
Now.
It's the past, it is
and this
now.
is all I have. Yeah, this is it. It's all I got. Okay, so we lean in and listen. We outstretch a hand of compassion towards ourselves. And then we override the false negative with truth. And that's where I think the power is in your morning statement. Good morning. I love you, Jennifer, because that's truth, right? God is love and light. When you embrace that love and light, even in the barely waking moments, right? You're inviting that, overriding, and you're bringing in truth. Let's talk about a few other truths that we might be able to override with. I think you brought up one with shame. The difference between I did a bad thing or I did a humiliating thing, or I did a stupid thing, but I made a mistake and I am a mistake.
Yes. Or I
or
am
I
bad.
am humiliated, or I am bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's overriding the false negative with truth. I did a thing,
Yeah.
and when I say I did a thing, I screwed up the email that I sent out, or I messed up with the words that I said because I lost my temper. Well, yeah, I did a thing, but that doesn't mean I have a bad temper. That doesn't mean I am a bad writer. It just means I did a thing. I'm a
Yeah.
great writer who doesn't pay a lot of attention to their punctuation sometimes or to their spelling, and that's okay. Yeah. What else do you do to override false negatives with truth? How else do you take care of yourself?
Well, I ask myself a lot of times, is this really true? It feels
Oh,
true.
I love that.
Is
Is
this
this really
really true?
true?
Is this really true? Or does it just feel true? And so I try and like challenge the thought, you
Yeah.
know, and then I'll ask myself, if I have this thought, obviously it's a habit. What is the emotional payoff? Because why do I keep having it? What is
Why
the,
do I choose to
yeah.
keep this? And that's one of my big things too. Why do I choose to keep this? Because that false negative's got some kind of payoff.
Mhm. Yeah.
Usually
Yeah.
it's because I feel justified or big or powerful.
Yeah. And with that, I will also say, like, because I'm so good at making a story about it. So I'm all like, so what is the story that's running about this? Oh,
Right.
so and so doesn't like me, and so X, Y, or Z, and I'm like, is that true? Do I really know that that's the story? No, I don't know what's the story.
Right.
Can I have a different story about that, or can I just not have a story? And it's
Yeah.
been interesting as I've done that in my own, like, when I would get upset over something my husband would do, I'd be like, this isn't my story. This is my mother's story.
Oh, but
Yeah,
you could find it in your background.
I could find it where it's like
This
she
was modeled for me when I
this
was a
is
kid.
modeled for me, and so when X, Y, or Z doesn't happen, this is what would happen. And I'd be like, no, this isn't my story. This is my mother's story. And then I'd be like, oh, I want a different story because
Yeah.
this my relationship with my husband is not my mother and father's relationship. So like you said, it was just modeled. So like I will sometimes question where did this story come from? Is it of my own making? And
Mhm.
if it is, okay, let's do a different story. What do I want this story to look like? Sometimes
Yeah.
I just want the story because I'm just in it.
Sometimes I just want the story
Yeah,
too, just because I want a reason to feel the things that I'm
I
feeling.
want to be justified.
Yeah, and so I just want to justify myself. But
Yeah.
my thoughts, the using the three gates really helps with my thoughts.
Is it
Like you
true?
said, is it true? Is it helpful?
Is it kind?
It might be a true thought. It might be that I really made a big faux pas,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
is it helpful the way I'm phrasing it? No. Is it kind? Not at all. Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it kind? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that helps me to override the false negative with truth. And then the K, kindly encourage and reset.
Really encouraging.
So lean in and listen. That's L. O, outstretch a hand of compassion. O, override the false negative with truth. And then K, kindly encourage. And I might say kindly reset.
So
So let's
yeah.
talk about kindness in ourselves.
Well,
Um,
I
I,
used to, whenever I'd make a mistake, I'd say, "Oh, you're so stupid. Why did you do that? You know better."
right?
And I'm
We
like,
would never talk to somebody that way.
I know. And so I'm all like, I wouldn't talk to, a friend that way.
Yeah,
Why am I talking to myself that way? And so
right.
I saw this, I haven't seen the movie. I have to watch the movie, but the trailer just made me giggle. It's a Disney movie and I forgot what it's called. But
Is
the
it
little
inside out?
no, it's not Inside Out. It's a Disney movie of this little kid. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know the movie, but what I loved about the trailer was he kept saying to the adults that would get on his case, mistakes were made. Mistakes were made. He's like, I just
Mistakes
don't.
were made. It's okay.
Big things would happen, like the house would blow up or something like that. It's like big things. And he'd be like, the mistakes were made. It's like, and so I'm all like, yeah, mistakes were made.
Mistakes were made.
You're not stupid. You're not a bad person. Mistakes were
It's
made.
just a mistake. And honestly, we came here to learn. It's our
Mhm.
whole purpose to learn and to make mistakes.
Mhm.
obviously to reset, but to when we make a mistake, to learn to kindly encourage and reset.
Mhm.
So kindly encourage, I can parent. I really love to self-parent. I have a lot of experience with parenting, and I have a lot of experience with grandparenting now.
Mhm.
And I know I'm a much better grandparent than I ever was a parent because of the experience that comes behind that. But I know the kind of love I feel towards those children. And that really helps me to kindly encourage them. And then to take that experience and apply it to myself,
Mhm.
to kindly encourage, like I would when somebody colored all over the wall at Aubrey's house. Part of the reason is I don't have to clean up the wall,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and so it makes it a little easier to be kind. But to treat myself in that way is huge.
Yeah. One
Yeah.
of the first steps that somebody taught me about that was if you can't extend it to you as how you see yourself now,
Mhm.
yourself as that little girl.
Because
Like
she's in there.
yeah, maybe find one of your favorite pictures of you as a girl and
Mhm.
try and say those hateful things to that little girl. You
Can't.
can't. So say those loving things to that little girl that she needs to
Yeah.
hear. And that was the
Yeah.
first step in like changing and being able to like say kind words to myself was that.
That's really powerful. Well, and when you go back to taking care of yourself physically with a self hug or something, and then allowing yourself to be kind. One of the things that Kristen Neff, I remember her saying in the training was, wow, that must really hurt.
Yeah.
That's hard for you, huh? That is so kind when we can respond to ourselves with, wow, that was really hard for you, and talk to yourself.
Yeah. Like I say it differently. I say like, man, that sucked, or like, man,
Yeah, that
rough.
was really garbage.
That was
Yes.
rough. That was like so rude, or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. So
So,
rude.
so
Yeah.
find your own words. Find your own words. But yeah.
But with encouragement and with
Yes.
kindness. And then how do you reset?
Yeah.
Kindly encourage and reset. What do you do to reset, Jen?
I will tell myself like if it's something that I'm remembering or something, and I'll be like, yeah, that really hurt you. That was really rude. They shouldn't have said that, but they did. I kind
Mhm.
of just encourage and love. So and then like if it's a story, I try and tell myself, well, that's the story, but this is the story I want. So I try and like put something inside instead of it.
Yeah.
Just a different if it's a different way, have a different saying.
Well,
Yeah.
I know I've heard you reset by going into the woods too.
Oh
You go
gosh.
outside.
Or I go dig in the dirt. I go pull weeds.
Yes, go dig in the dirt.
That's a good reset. Yeah. Go be with my
Yeah.
plants. They can't talk
Go
back.
outside. Go outside and yell. I scared the daylights out of my dog. I think it probably was last Monday, but it was recently. I
Uh-huh.
was so frustrated with what I was working on that I just growled quite loudly. I won't do it here because that would be rude to listeners, but I just made a big sound that expressed my frustration. And he just jumped right up. He was like, "Oh my gosh," but I needed to
Get
get
that
that
out.
energy out of my body, and making a loud sound
Mhm.
and feeling the vibrations in your
Yeah.
chest. It might be it's acceptable, put on music and sing as loud as you can to the
Same.
music,
Mhm.
but for me, it was just, I was by myself. And so I just let it loose, just get it out. Yeah. I was just really frustrated by it.
Mhm.
That works as a reset for me. Music works as a reset for me. Outside, um, calling a friend and saying, talk me off the cliff.
Exactly. Can I just vent?
That's right.
Yeah.
Talk me off the cliff. Or do you have 8 minutes? Do you remember in a previous
Yeah.
podcast, we talked about 8 minutes with a friend creates so many benefits with your physical and your mental health.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do
I'd
you
like
have 8 minutes?
you have to have those people, I like how Brene Brown puts it. You have to have those safe people that you can bitch and moan with perspective. That's what she calls it.
Amen.
Bitch and
Yep.
moan with perspective.
Yep.
Because sometimes you just need to get it out to see how you're sounding and how you're thinking and see the flaws in that, and
Mhm.
just be, because a lot of times when you do that, you're already changing by the time you get to the end of it,
Yeah.
and you're already
It's
resetting.
just out. You've already made that shift. Well, and I watch that every week with our Coach and Clear group.
Mhm.
We come in, just everybody's got an issue. And so everybody just kind of reports.
Burdened and just, oh, yeah.
Just burdened, right? Just burdened. And they come in with the issue and just sharing it with other women who go, oh man, that's
Get you.
rough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
That. And then we'll take a few minutes and everybody will talk about, well, what do you want going forward?
Mhm.
And as everybody weighs in on what they want going forward, again, there's another layer where we
Mhm.
lighten things up, and finally, when we do the clearing and do the writing for what they received, everybody just walks away feeling so much better. But it's having that community,
Mhm.
kind of like Mastermind. We do a very similar thing with Mastermind because we're coaching each other.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
makes a big difference. So kindly encourage and reset. I used to use food to reset.
I still do at times. I got to get
Yeah,
that under control. Yeah, I
yeah.
got to change that. I
What I'm
used to
really
shop
upset.
too. I used to
I'm
shop to reset. Shop.
Oh, yes. Yes, I
Yeah.
still do occasionally shop to
Yeah.
reset, but not as much as I
Not
used
as
to.
much anymore. No.
When I went from food and stopped eating for emotional health, there was a fair season when I just, instead of eating, I shopped.
Yeah.
Not any healthier than poor eating,
No.
right?
Just
It was
transfer
just
yourself.
just substituting one addiction for the
Yeah.
other. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then as I got farther into coaching and started to understand better how to process feelings, that's
Mhm.
helped.
Yeah.
Yeah. But one of the things I really love when I'm really worked up, well, there's two. One is to get out my essential oils,
Mhm.
and I'll use lavender, frankincense, and stress away, which is a vanilla based oil. And I will breathe into that. And as I'm breathing that combination in, I'll actually let myself go into the situation in my mind and breathe the oil into that.
Yeah.
And that is the most amazing reset for me. Because what I'm doing is I'm conjuring up something that's really upsetting.
Mhm.
And then I'm breathing these soothing oils up in my nose. And right here is where my amygdala is, right? So it's traveling just those couple of inches right to my amygdala. You want to tell us about why that matters?
So it goes to your olfactory bulb and your amygdalas sit here.
Yeah,
But the
it's
part,
kind of behind back here.
yeah,
Yeah.
kind of back here.
Uh-huh.
It's the part, well, it does a lot of different things, but the things for right here is it is the first thing that will basically give you information about your environment in the sense of fight, flight, or freeze. And it
Yeah.
starts that cascading effect of like, do I need to fight? Do I need to freeze? Do I need to do this? And it's all run by emotion. And usually when
And
you're
so as
in,
I'm breathing in
yeah,
that super calming scent, what's that do for my amygdala then?
yeah, it gives it information through the chemicals to calm.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
it says, oh, what was I worried about? This is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. What it does, it will also create a chemical shift in the brain. And that's all you need to
Yes.
get out of that state. So it can be anything you smell that is enjoyable. But
That
then
you
we
really
know
love.
that there are just certain essential oils that will pass that blood-brain barrier and just really do that.
Mhm.
And those are part of it. And that's all you need is just something to shift that. Because if you're in that thinking mode,
That power of scent.
yeah, you're starting to get out of the prefrontal cortex, which is your reasoning.
Yeah. I do it with oils because if I do it with cookies, they're going to be in my
Yeah,
mouth.
oh,
So
totally. Because yeah, no,
oils
and
work.
yeah, I
Plus,
actually do it
then
with
I'll
oil.
switch from doing the calming oils to switching, letting things kind of switch in my thoughts to where what I might want to have happen. And then I'll use citrus scents,
Yeah,
and smell that as I'm kind of forming the new reset.
yeah. It's you kind of I would say because you're forming a new reset, you're forming a new neural pathway. You're doing a change in the brain. So I would almost say you'd want a different scent
Mm-hmm.
to trigger
Well, and the
that change.
freshness of citrus is so good for the reset. I really
Yeah,
love that.
I would
Whether
almost
it's
try.
just rolling an orange or rolling, my favorite is rolling a lemon around on the counter until you get that amazing lemon smell coming up.
Yeah. I wouldn't
Yeah.
want to try and anchor a new belief, a new thought pattern with the old releasing stuff.
Mm-mm.
You
Mm-mm.
don't want
That
anything
way it
that's really
makes
familiar. You
sense.
want something that's in contrast.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the last one that I like, and quite often I'll do it after I've worked with oils as well as before, is writing. Because I have notebooks where I'll write. It's just 3 ring. just dump all of the anger out on the page and then throw away the page when I'm done.
Which is
And
so
then,
good because then you don't say it or write it or
Mhm.
text it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that really helps me to reset. And then after I've used the power of scent, I'll come back and write about that change. And that will kind of formalize the reset. Think it, speak it, write it
Yeah.
is what I've heard. Yeah.
Yes.
So we're thinking it and then you speak it out loud in one way or another, and then you write it. Yeah. Makes a huge difference.
I
Yeah.
like that because you're thinking it in your brain, you're speaking it, so you're actually getting it out verbally, but then as you're writing it, you're getting it out like
Well, it's such a tactile experience to write by hand on paper. Yeah. Really makes a difference. Think it, speak it, write it. So that's look, lean in and listen. What's going on? Outstretch a hand of compassion. Yeah, that's really hard, right? That must have been really rough. Override the false negative with a truth. You are not what just happened. You are a daughter of God. You are important. You are worthy. You are worth a lot.
you're not your mistakes.
You are not your mistakes. You are full of potential. You are the creator of your life. You have within you all truth and the power and the light that you need to create what you want to create. And then kindly encourage and reset. Meet yourself with kindness and encouragement, and then reset however works for you for reset. That's look. Now, it feels like a lot when we're going through it step by step like that, but it goes really quick when you train yourself to lean in, you train yourself to outstretch a hand of compassion, and then do the override and the reset. It makes a big difference with kindness. Yeah. It's just easy. When you're having a crummy day, look.
It does take a little bit in the beginning to get into that rhythm of
It
it.
does. But if all you do is get the L, the lean
Yeah.
in and listen,
Oh, you're already
you're golden.
yeah.
Just practice leaning in and listening, and then do a little self-coaching or parenting for that part who is so upset, right? It really
Even
makes
just
a difference.
acknowledging sometimes enough. Just
Yeah.
like I see you, I hear you, and that really sucked.
Yeah. Yeah. That was rough. And that was a hard day. So let's be nice. How about a nice warm bubble bath for you tonight? Yeah. Let's do something to reset and take care of ourselves. Beautiful. Well, do you feel brave enough to look?
Yeah,
I do. I feel brave enough to look. And we have done it in the past, and we will continue to do it again because change is a constant in our life. It's a 50-50 life. And so that's our only real constant is change.
Mhm.
And so that's what we're going to continue to use this acronym, this look. Going forward this week, I don't think there's book club since Jacine is gone.
I don't think so either. I don't know. I haven't
Yeah.
been in the club for a while.
Yeah.
Life got
But
busy.
there is coaching clear tomorrow, and we'll be going a little deeper into this acronym of look and talking about it further. And then next Monday we have coaching clear again, and not coaching clear, sorry,
No,
mastermind.
that's fine.
And in mastermind, I know we're doing last quarter goals, and you're going to do some imagery for us too, right?
Yep. Mhm.
Yeah, it's going to be really good. And then of course, in just a couple of weeks, I think it's 2.5, 3 weeks, we have U Week. Yeah. September 9th to the 13th. Yep, it's going to be really good. So if you want to learn more about this stuff, come to U Week. It's very inexpensive. It is time very well spent, and you can get all of the principles of the creator-based way and creator-based coaching. Are you checking dates?
Because I'm all like, wait a minute.
Pretty sure it's 3 weeks because it's 2 weeks till I move, and I move on the 7th. Which means somebody needs to put my bathroom in the next 2 weeks.
I am thinking October because I'm all like, did I just double book something? I'm like, I'm thinking
You're okay.
It's October. It's okay.
Yes, you'll be on retreat in October, and we'll be
my
good.
brain just went, yeah,
Woo!
panic button. I'm like,
well, y'all use your calendar and have a beautiful week, and be brave enough to look. Thanks, Jen.
See you later.